Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, this weekend is mock convention at Washington and Lee University. We'll have a behind-the-scenes look at the event setup and details for the weekend. After that, one of the candidates MockCon may predict to be the nominee had a case today before the U.S. Supreme Court. We'll break down the details. And later, a forgotten cemetery in Buena Vista and a group trying to restore it. We'll tell you why. And Madison Carlin has the changing forecast for your weekend. All that and more coming up next on a Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news for Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Welcome to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Claire DiChiro.
And I'm Chuck Rutberg.
We start our broadcast today by taking a live behind-the-scenes look at WNL's mock convention. This Friday and Saturday, students will be participating in several events, all leading up to a prediction for who the Republican 2024 presidential nominee will be. I'm Mackenzie Kane. What's going on? Can you tell us more about this weekend?
The 28th Washington and Lee Mock Convention starts tomorrow. Every 4 years, students channel their political passions to predict the presidential nominee for the party out of power in the White House. The convention has a 74% accuracy rating since it first began in 1908. This weekend's headlining speakers include Donald Trump Jr., Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, and Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, in addition to controversial pundits Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, and former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson. As convention delegates and speakers arrive, these banners will greet them. That's Nikki Haley and Donald Trump larger than life, and a rendering of the White House. Inside, Director of Communications Anna Connolly was sorting credentials for delegates, VIPs, and news media for the event. The first session is tomorrow afternoon, followed by 2 sessions later on the following night. In the last session, students will announce their prediction for who will be the Republican nominee for president. Meanwhile, this all-student production is deep into last-minute preparations.
Right now, we're fixing all the tech. We'll go through the run of show, we'll make sure all the videos are working, all the different screens have everything they need to have at the right times. The lights go, the sound works, which is kind of what you're hearing right now. And making sure that all the tiny things are right.
The event students have been waiting years for starts tomorrow. With the Rockbridge Report, I'm Mackenzie Kane. Back to you into the studio, Chuck and Claire.
MockCon is a more than century-old tradition, and the main activities are predicting the presidential nominee for the party not in the White House and holding a full political convention with all the trappings. That includes delegations for all 50 states and the territories, music and other entertainment, and speeches from national political figures. It is this last feature that has some students on campus concerned. I asked the Rockbridge Report's Melo Sambaye earlier this afternoon why there is some social media chatter about the convention.
WNL's student body looks very different today than it did in 2016, the last time there was a Republican MockCon.
What were the demographics in 2016, and what are they now?
The student body was about 83% white in 2016. Today, it is less than 74% white. So it is more diverse than it was when MockCon predicted that Donald Trump would be the nominee in 2016.
And how has that change manifested itself?
On social media, over the past several days, many students have expressed concerns of the tone of the convention and the speaker's political positions.
So, what remedies are there for students with these concerns?
A few students have asked the university's Office of Inclusion and Engagement for support and resources for coping with the presence of controversial figures on campus.
Thanks, Mel. MockCon is more than politics. It's a community-wide event, most notably a parade in downtown Lexington. Let's take a look at how it all starts with the parade tomorrow morning. As you can see, the parade starts at North Main Street in Wallace, continues down Main, and ends near Quad between the Gaines and Graham-Lee's housing. You can expect to see floats representing all 50 states and all U.S. territories.
One candidate who MockCon may predict to win the Republican nomination went to fight for his ballot eligibility today. The U.S. Supreme Court will determine whether to restore Trump on the Colorado primary ballot after the state Supreme Court removed him in December over the 14th Amendment insurrectionist clause in the Constitution. Our Washington correspondent, Julia Benbrook, has details from today's arguments.
A lawyer representing the Colorado voters who challenged Donald Trump's eligibility in the state argues that a post-Civil War insurrection ban in Section 3 of the 14th Amendment bars Trump from serving as president again.
What is very clear from the history is that the framers were concerned about charismatic rebels who might rise through the ranks up to and including the presidency of the United States.
But a lawyer for the former president says that the 14th Amendment does not apply to Trump's presidency.
Officer of the United States refers only to appointed officials, and it does not encompass elected individuals, such as the president or members of Congress.
Trump's team also arguing that what took place on January 6th was a riot, not an insurrection.
And the events were shameful, criminal, violent, all of those things, but it did not qualify as insurrection, as that term is used in Section 3.
The justices seemed poised to rule in favor of keeping the former president on the ballot, several of them signaling concern over the far-reaching implications if they rule in Colorado's favor.
Why should a single state have the ability to make this determination, not only for their own citizens, but for the rest of the nation?
Reporting in Washington, I'm Julia Benbrook.
City councils abandoned a proposal to put a dog park along the Route 11 bypass parallel to McCorkle Drive. Residents and council members raised concerns about safety of dogs and humans. Ruby Gregg reports.
Tammy McComas has lived on McCorkle Drive for almost 21 years. The idea of a dog park in the neighborhood shocked her.
The reason that I disapproved the location is due to the amount of traffic that we have on McCorkle Drive.
Lexington City Council talked about the proposal at last week's meeting. It quickly became apparent that the idea wasn't going anywhere.
I don't think this is a good location, and so I would not support a dog park in that location.
Anywhere in a neighborhood is not really a good location.
I think we need to go back to the drawing board on the area.
I would not be doing the right thing for this neighborhood if I were to vote yes.
Dog owners in Lexington have wanted a designated park for their pets for years. But where?
Everything's a good idea somewhere else.
City Manager Jim Hallis proposed the McCorkle Drive location. He says the city has few options because Lexington is so small, covering only 2.5 square miles.
You heard people say it's not the right spot, it's not the right type of place, you need more acreage, you need more this. We don't have those things.
Hallis says he doubts the city can find a spot for a dog park that everybody can agree on. Mayor Friedman says the dog park proposal is dead. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Ruby Gregg.
Most of Maury River Middle School students did not meet the minimum requirement for the math section of the state's Standards of Learning test last spring. Now those students are using an online program called Zern to help them get better at math. Students work with Zern for 30 minutes at the start of every school day. They will use Zern until late March when their teachers begin reviews to prepare them for the annual Math SOL.
Keeping it here in Lexington, downtown is experiencing unprecedented changes this year. Many businesses are opening, expanding, closing, or relocating. Melo Sambaye reports.
More than a dozen businesses are swapping places. Main Street Lexington Executive Director Rebecca Logan says the pace has picked up since last summer when the Southern Inn closed.
Usually we have maybe one or two businesses move or expand, but last year was a domino effect.
Electric Pilates also closed, but stores like Cupcake Heaven and Bigger Chicken opened. Clover, Downtown Books, and Violet Consignment expanded into newly vacated spaces.
We really don't have any empty spaces. If you see a space that's empty, it's not available.
Logan says the closing of Southern Inn in July shocked many people in the community. The restaurant had been a key attraction in the city for over 90 years.
I did speak to one business who's been on Main Street for quite a few years, and she said, yeah, Southern Inn closing, we are not seeing the same amount of foot traffic.
The former Grand Furniture store at the corner of South Main and Washington Streets has two tenants. Grand closed in November 2022. The Shenandoah Attic and Victorian Parlor moved into the space in August. Parlor owner Debbie Darlington says she moved there while her landlord is renovating her old space in the Rockbridge building.
We loved the other building we had, but we're loving this one too, so hopefully we'll be able to stay here.
Richmond-based developer John Adamson owns the old Grand Furniture building, the Rockbridge building, and several other properties in the city. In an interview, Adamson told me that the tenants in the old Grand building can stay if they want, or they can go back to the Rockbridge building when it's done. Adamson says he hopes to start renovations on the Grand building this summer. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Melissa Mbai.
Coming up next on the Rockbridge Report.
Even though this is a pauper black cemetery, everyone needs to be recognized in life and in death.
Greenwood Cemetery in Buena Vista has become overgrown and forgotten, but a few people are trying to change that. We'll have the story.
And later, Madison Carlin will be bringing you your weekend forecast, including tomorrow morning's chilly Mach-Con parade temperatures. All that and more coming up in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. Buena Vista is home to a cemetery where poor whites and blacks are buried, but very few residents know it's even there. A group of citizens is trying to change that. Here's Mackenzie Kane with the story.
Overgrown trees used to hide the Greenwood Cemetery at the end of First Street in Buena Vista. Originally, it was the final resting place for paupers, poor people who couldn't afford the cost of burial. In the early 1900s, the cemetery divided. One part was for poor white people, the other side was for blacks and Native Americans. Preston Evans has a personal connection to the cemetery. His grandparents are buried there.
My mother used to bring me in here, and this is when it was green and lush. I mean, it wasn't grown over like this.
Evans is the historian for the Friends of Greenwood Cemetery. He and his friend Mike Wynn have spent the past decade trying to clean it up. They invited their friends Jake Shuey and Val McInnes to form the group. Shuey says it shouldn't matter who's buried there or their race.
Even though this is a pauper black cemetery, everyone needs to be recognized in life and in death.
About 300 people are buried in the cemetery that dates back to the early 1890s. Large rocks mark some of the graves. Several don't have markers at all. Only one of the markers contains a name. Shuey says they've identified over 45 names of the people buried there through historical records and Facebook.
Maybe somebody from Norfolk would say, that's my great-granddaddy. He's buried there. I want to go there and to see where he's buried.
The Friends of Greenwood Cemetery are getting help from people outside of BV. Last week in Washington and Lee University, students helped clear out some of the overgrown trees. This upcoming weekend, Southern Virginia University students will pitch in. Signing off with the Rockbridge Report, I'm Mackenzie Kane.
The Lexington Police Department is fully staffed for the first time in years. Lexington Police Chief Angela Green said the department has filled vacancies dating back to 2021 thanks to a recruitment and retention plan. Green also said no officer has left the department in 2 years. The plan includes pay raises and signing and retention bonuses. Green says the plan has helped Lexington compete with other local police agencies in hiring and retraining officers.
The Virginia Horse Center used to struggle to keep its 4,000-seat Coliseum booked through the winter, but now the lights are on and the seats are filled more often. Chaz Chappell has the story.
Horses usually prance around the Anderson Coliseum, but last weekend, softball players ran down fly balls and swatted home runs in the main arena that was transformed into dirt diamonds. Horse Center General Manager Leroy Troxel says bringing large events like the Winter Showdown to the Horse Center benefits other businesses too.
So in the past few years, we've developed ways to keep the Horse Center open, which helps the community, hotels, shopping centers, restaurants and stuff. And also we can have events here throughout the winter.
Troxel says the Horse Center also plans to host BMX and monster truck rallies. The Winter Showdown tournament features middle and high school students. It's sponsored by South Carolina-based Diamond Classic Fast Pitch. The group held 3 versions of the tournament at the Horse Center. Event coordinator Matthew Puckett says he feels lucky that he could book the Horse Center for all 3 tournaments.
There's tons of softball groups out there, and everybody's looking for somewhere to play during the winter. There's just not enough options.
The winning team doesn't advance to another competition because it's a standalone tournament. Softball coach Stacy Shoup of Elkton, Virginia says the lower stakes competition is a perfect fit for the winter off-season.
Obviously, it's not often that you get to play in January and December, so having these girls together before the full-blown summer starts is truly amazing.
Pitcher Taylor Ware from the tournament-winning Virginia Heat says she loves playing inside.
It's so nice not to be shivering from the cold,
Troxel says he's working with DC Fast Pitch to continue hosting tournaments at the Horse Center for many winters to come. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Chaz Chappell.
Up next on a Rockbridge Report, a new report shows global warming is breaching a critical threshold.
We've had a clear week of sunny skies in Lexington, but this weekend's forecast may paint a different picture. I'm Madison Carlin. I'll have more details of what's to come in my 5-day forecast.
And later, are you scrambling for a last-minute Valentine's Day gift? We've got your back with something sweet for your sweetheart. All that and more next on the Rockbridge Report. Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report.
For the first time on record, new data shows global warming is breaching a critical limit. According to data from Copernicus, over the past 12 months, it was 1.52 degrees Celsius hotter on average. That marks the first time on record global warming surpassed 1.5 degrees Celsius within a year. The 2023 average was boosted by January being the hottest on record. The goal of the Paris Agreement, signed in 2015, was to keep global warming below 2 degrees at worst, but preferably below 1.5. Madison, how are things looking for the Mock-Con parade tomorrow? I know it's supposed to be a little chilly in the morning.
Well, Claire, after a week of sunny skies, it looks like Lexington is welcoming in some windy weather, so keep your jackets around. Moving on to a live shot of downtown Lexington, taking a look at today's weather forecast. We have enjoyed some sun today with a high of 60 degrees. We are feeling some winds coming on tonight with a low of 35. Our barometric pressure today is 30 and 19/100 inches. Our wind speed is 7 miles per hour, and our humidity is dropped a little lower at 28%. Taking a look at the regional weather, it is clear, sunny skies across the board. And moving on to the current conditions. All around, we have some sunshine, with Lexington and Buena Vista leading the way at 60 degrees today. Stanton, Charlottesville, and Lynchburg are following in the 50s. Moving over and taking a look at Covington and Roanoke, both in the low 50s today. Heading into our 5-day forecast, tomorrow, just in time for Mock-Con Convention Parade on Main Street, the morning will be starting out at around 50 degrees, but jumping up to 62 in the afternoon, with a low of 44. This weekend, we are continuing into the 60s, with Saturday jumping up to 64 degrees. The low will be in the 40s this weekend, with Super Bowl Sunday having a low of 43. Sunday, we are welcoming in some cloudy skies and a chance of rain that will last until Monday. Monday and Tuesday, the skies are clearing up, but the temperature is dropping with highs in the 40s and 50s and lows in the 20s and 30s. Tuesday, sunshine is on the horizon. Make sure to get out and enjoy the sunshine while you can at tomorrow's Mock Convention Parade, but don't forget your umbrellas for this weekend. Back to you, Chuck and Claire.
Coming up, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and we know exactly what gifts you should get for the holiday.
But before that, Billy will tell you everything you need to know about another holiday to some, the Super Bowl. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. This Sunday at 6:30 is Super Bowl 58, but all I'm thinking about is Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
Personally, all I can think about is the Kansas City offense going up against that defense. Billy, what do you think?
Yeah, Chuck, I know that all the attention is surrounded by Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, but I personally really think the San Francisco 49ers have a great chance to win this football game on Sunday. The 49ers are led by 7th-round quarterback Brock Purdy, who was the last pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. Now, he's competing for a Super Bowl. Although it's nearly impossible to count out the 2-time Super Bowl MVP winner Patrick Mahomes, I think the 49ers are the more complete team, and head coach Kyle Shanahan will have his guys ready to win the big game. As for sports here in Lexington, the Washington Lee men's basketball team fell to Randolph-Macon at home last night, 88-78. Macon is ranked 4th in the country. Jack D'Entremont led the Generals with 25 points and was a perfect 15 for 15 from the free throw line. The Generals take on Eastern Mennonite this Saturday at home for Senior Day. The Washington and Lee men's and women's swim team are currently down in Greensboro, North Carolina, where both teams will be competing for their 3rd straight ODAC championship. The VMI men's basketball team fell to Mercer University on the road last Saturday by a score of 90-69. The Keydets have an opportunity to bounce back tonight as they take on their former head coach Dan Earl, who makes his return to Lexington with his squad from the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. The Rockbridge County High School women's basketball team wrapped up their winter season with a loss at home by a score of 41-27. It was their second loss in as many matchups against William Monroe High School. That's all for sports. Back to you, Claire.
Last week was Perry McClure Boys Basketball Senior Night. Our own Kenzie Kane had the chance to catch up with head coach Tyler Kerr after their 90-56 win.
Good evening. I'm here at Perry McClure High School in Buena Vista, where the Fighting Blues boys basketball team is celebrating their senior night. Now, I am joined here by Coach Kerr. Coach, what message are you leaving with these departing seniors?
Well, you got two guys that have given 4 years to our varsity program, amazing leaders. And, Garrett, he's been with us for 2 years, also an amazing kid. And we picked up JJ just this year. Just 4 unbelievable kids, and their work ethic is unmatched. And, it's going to be tough to replace them. But, that's how it is. You go through phases. It's like the circle of life. And so I'm really excited for what we have, but it's because of the 4 guys there building that, that character in the locker room. I'm excited for the future.
Now, this is your last home game, and you're leaving with a win, but what's the mindset moving into the rest of the season, into the post game?
Yeah, so, you just want to play your best basketball come tournament time. Basketball is a tournament game. You're excited about what you've done in the regular season, but basketball is a tournament game. I just want to make sure that our guys are playing their best basketball at the right times. And I think that we're doing that with unselfish play. And I got 14 guys in there that just are really bought in and enjoying playing together.
Coach, I appreciate your time. Best of luck moving forward. And signing off with the Rockbridge Report, I'm Mackenzie Kane.
Most people think of chocolate, diamonds, and flowers on Valentine's Day. In Lexington, there's also donuts. Chaz Chappell and Claire Hamlet have the story.
Before the sun rises on Main Street, the smell of freshly made donuts fills the air inside the white brick building that houses Pure Eats in Lexington. Owner Casey Potter says the process starts with a handful of committed employees.
So my donut girls are called my donut divas. Right now I have 3 of them. Lynn has been here the longest. And then I have Donut Karen, who she only does donuts. And then, because I have Karen also. And then Maddie G does donuts.
On mornings like this, senior donut diva Lynn Thompson starts by mixing up some fresh donut batter. Thompson says she started in 2015 as a fry cook and moved into donut making to fill a vacancy.
And I've been doing them ever since.
Thompson starts by mixing a cake mix into batter. She then pours the batter into what Potter calls the donut robot. After the machine fries each donut, Thompson sets them out to dry to prepare for icing. Potter says she lets the donut divas call the shots on flavors and decoration.
So really whatever they're in the mood for. You can always tell when they're creative.
Pure Eats rotates through 7 featured daily donuts each week. Thompson and her fellow divas usually make about 250 donuts a day.
And I have the best staff in all of downtown. I tell everyone that.
Potter says she and her donut divas plan to make over 3,000 donuts for Valentine's Day. She says they'll work overtime to meet the demand. Reporting with Claire Hamlet for the Rockbridge Report, I'm Chaz Chappell.
Thank you. Good night.